In the world of gaming, the players mainly have two separate but equally desirable experiences. One is through computational devices, taking input through buttons, joysticks, and mice, and is displayed on a screen. The other is on paper and cardboard, with dice, plastic pieces, and pencils on a table. We represent both. I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm ChoasAssassin.
And this is Gamer Experience.
Today we have a guest joining us. Soul, no idea how to pronounce the last part of your name, Soul. Sorry.
It's okay. Just call me Sunseeker44 for now.
Sunseeker 44. I will try to remember that.
Of course, the same thing I like to ask with all our guests, especially the first time on here. Think you could briefly tell us your experience with gaming?
Yes, so I have been gaming since I was very, very little. I have really fond memories of waking up one Christmas when I want to say 5 or 6, and I had a Super Nintendo under the Christmas tree with a couple of games like Jurassic Park, Super Mario All Stars. There was a Goofy Island, the Disney game or something like that I had, and I would spend hours and hours and hours playing on that thing. Like that saw me through a good chunk of my early childhood. And then of course the N64 came out and that was another big thing. And again, preteen memories of going to Blockbuster and getting the newest anime and whatever video game I wanted for the N64. And then I would grab like Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo too, and I would just jump back and forth between the two of them. And of course, then the PS2 came out, and that was a whole new thing. So, whole new evolution of graphics and things like that. And it's been an evolution. And then it kind of came to this trickling halt as my anxiety took over. And now that I am tackling that, getting back into the swing of things, I've got my PS4 now. Lots of RPG gaming, lots of action adventure, puzzle gaming, things like that. And then I just recently decided to get the Switch OLED so that ironically I could go back and play like my childhood favorites on the Super NES, the Super Nintendo, and the N64. Like I almost exclusively got my Switch to be able to play those games again. And so it's been really great to get back into gaming now that it's been 35 years of that I've been around this rock, be 36 in July, and still enjoying it the way that I used to. So I'm really hoping to get back to it on a more regular basis.
I was about to say, based off the fact of being 5 or 6 and waking up with an NES and then seeing it, I was about to say you got at least 30 years experience of gaming.
Yes, yes.
But to get to the topic of this episode, how do you find time to play anymore?
It's so interesting because that is something that, like me personally, I've been trying to get back into because I work full time and I'm pretty much a full-time college student as well, studying psychology. And it's been daunting. It's so funny because I always think back to like, how did I have time as a kid? Like, what what was I doing that I had time to game? Because it feels like as an adult, there just aren't enough hours in the day. But I find that if I do something like that, like after work, it's a great de-stressor.
Unless you play like League of Legends or Call of Duty and
Stress inducing.
But no,
Something gets the blood pressure up.
I there are days that while yes, I have time to game, it's not just trying to find the time, it's trying to find the desire and drive. Because there are times that after I'm done doing what I need to do with my job and everything else, I'm just too tired to play. So not only trying to find the time, but the motivation and energy is the
Enjoyment of it.
hardest part.
How do I go back to enjoying this? Like, isn't that why I got into gaming? Is because I enjoyed it. Like, why can't I enjoy it?
Yeah.
So that it's because your brain is fried. You're usually mentally and emotionally drained. if not physically, depending on what type of job you do. My job is very mentally and emotionally draining because I deal with angry people all day. So
Oh,
it's
you're in customer service. I am so sorry.
well, I'm really good at what I do. I've had one, I work in car insurance, and I had a licensed agent was like, you're really good at this. Like, do you want to come work for me? So it's like, there are good days and bad
Like,
days. And so
out of curiosity, for our viewers and stuff, like, what level of customer service are we dealing with? Are we dealing with like Target like people where they're just snotty and stuck up, or are we dealing with like Walmart people that they're trying to scam every system? Like,
it's a bit of both. So I deal with non-standard auto insurance, and so we deal with people that are high-risk drivers. They're not very financially responsible. But on the flip side, I'm also trained to assist licensed agents. So that's kind of where the target people come in. These are people who believe that they know what they're doing, but they maybe need help. And they're just a little condescending about it and things like that. And so not much can verify that you see the kind of things that I've dealt with on a daily basis. It's a lot of lack of common sense,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
If you
yeah, no,
think people are intelligent, work customer service.
you
Exactly.
don't even have to work customer service. Just look at Tales from Tech Support. That
Exactly.
alone, I'm sorry, but you don't call the IT people, complain that your computer's not working when you're in a power outage. How are you a CEO of the company if you don't have the common sense to realize you can't check your computer when you're in a power outage?
Yes.
Like,
And and as someone who also does IT, yes.
Wow, no
It
wonder
is exactly like that.
no wonder you need gaming to de-stress.
It's nice because I mean I am part of a cozy gaming community, and it's been really fabulous, not just because of the type of games that they do, but just the community in general, because it's nice to deal with supportive people with like hobbies and things like that. And so, and it also kind of helps me stay accountable and like making time for myself in gaming, because I think that's important too. It's like you gaming can be a form of self-care. I dated a guy who dealt with so many stressors, not just from work, but from home life as well. And that, like, as soon as he came home, that's what he would do. He would sit down and game because that was his self-care. And so,
that's what I use for my self-care, and I've had to pick it back up because I was neglecting myself.
exactly. And I felt much the same, as like I wanted to belong to community and feel that sense of camaraderie. And like if I were to like get into a multiplayer game, that I would have people that I could go to and do that with. And it's been wonderful. And so like late at night, and I think the other thing that's nice is that there's people from all over the world in the community. And so like the server is always active. There's always somebody around and different genres to explore. Especially like I've never done cozy gaming before. I like to punch things and I like to drive fast. So
So games like Cyberpunk.
I love fighting games. I love racing games. I love good old fashioned RPG
Adrenaline
games.
How
like
about Burnout?
I love Burnout. I was so excited when I got into my Switch and I got into the Super Nintendo when I saw like Bite 64, because I used to play that with my little neighborhood friend all the time. And I was like, oh my God. Like it was just, just
it's
pure
old school.
dopamine. It was a shot of dopamine for me to like go back and like see old titles and things like that I used to play. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Earthworm Jim, which I used to think was a fever dream. I thought that I was just crazy as a child and I just made up a space earthworm man, but it's real
No,
and it's the thing.
They also
I
had a
Um,
remember
cartoon
Earthworm.
series.
exactly. Castlevania, love with the advent of Castlevania, Castlevania Nocturne. I've loved going back and playing the old Castlevania games. That has been a lot of fun recently. Um, and just there's so many titles to go back and explore, and it's like, how do I make time for it? So
Mhm.
I have discovered that it seems to be like at night after work. That's my de-stressing time for me. If I'm not going to the gym, then I'm like last night I was going to sit down. and do some admin work for my website, and I ended up gaming for like 2 or 3 hours on the Switch. Like, I was like, "You know what? Let me just beat this boss really quick." Blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
you beat that boss, and this next thing shouldn't take long. It just
It
quickly
yeah.
do this, and then next thing you know,
It's 3 a.m.
what was I
It wa
doing?
it
Oh, I
really
need to get some sleep.
it really was 3 a.m. when I realized that. I was like, this is a good place to stop." Let me so,
Looks at the time. Oh, hey, it's 3 a.m.
mhm.
No, no.
And then it just kind of becomes this juggling game of like, okay, well, how do I make time to game but not spend like 3 to 6 hours gaming at 3 o'clock in the morning, knowing I have to get up in the morning. So
The best way I've found to find time to game is I've been setting days aside,
okay.
because technically I work at, damn near 24/7
Yeah,
because I'm a caregiver now.
that's all right. Caregivers, you
Um,
guys are heroes, unsung heroes.
Saturday I spend for my video games, and Sunday I've been setting aside for my tabletop games. Um, so the one game I was running kind of fell through because the person who's had the Hero Lab and everything, his hard drive deleted everything.
Oh no.
So all of their characters, all of the NPCs I had made, everything gone.
That
So
hurts. That hurts
we're
my
having to
heart.
start my game from scratch. I'm gonna do a different story this time, but I'm alternating to give, because he started running a game for me that way I could play, because it's been a while since I've played. And so Sunday afternoon is our time to do some tabletop. And I've been trying to make Saturdays the day that I sit and I actually just sit there and just play my video games.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, finding time for yourself to play is one thing, but finding time for multiple people to come together at the same
Mhm.
time.
Mhm. That is the hardest part, I think, with gaming is, yeah, you can game solo. It's easy to find time for you. It's a lot
Mhm.
easier to find time for you. But trying to find time for 4, 5 plus different people, that in itself is really difficult.
Especially with tabletop, because I ran into
Mm,
that issue too. Because I just recently got into D&D. I'm a light domain cleric, woohoo! And we had this really great campaign that we wanted to run, but people kept dropping and joining and dropping and joining. And it felt like we were treading water. We weren't really able to progress very well because we needed a certain amount of people in our party to do so. And I I regrettably had to leave. I was like, I I need some sort of stability. And
yep.
I have been searching for like the right party to join ever since because I loved it. I'm a dice goblin now. I had got
If
my first
anything, I'd say look
miniature.
up Pathfinder Society.
Imma have to because this was a I did it as a play to pay because I wanted someone to teach me, like, the very basics. I had gone to New York Comic Con last October, with Rowan, and they had a one-shot, like, learn to play, and he was supposed to join me, but he chickened out because he's a goofball, and I did it by myself with a group of strangers, and we had a blast. I was like, "I love this. I need more of this. I want more of this." But it's exactly like you said, like being able to coordinate so that people will commit to it. I think that's why the pay to play was a little more successful, but I didn't want to keep giving out money and money and money and money just to, tread water and not like get my money's worth.
Yeah.
And it sucked because it was so cool. I mean, my little centaur, we've got adventures we want to go on. And I felt terrible that we weren't really able to go anywhere with that.
I think
I
scheduling is the main killer of tabletop role playing games groups.
That and
Agreed.
holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sorry, I cannot count how many times we started it in like March or April, and we've been playing all year, and then Thanksgiving happens, and up it's Thanksgiving week. We're gonna do family stuff, so we're not gaming this week.
Then Christmas.
Oh, something came up, so we can't game the week after. Oh, we're going out of town for Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas week. Hey, it's New Year's. We're just having a party. We're not gaming. And then by the time it's February, just like, where were we in our game?
Yeah, exactly.
I have lost so many games due to the holiday season because, well, yes, we're all gamers. We enjoy playing with. We also a lot of times enjoy spending time with family, and so the amount of games that end up just dying due to the holidays
Or
is
students,
another big issue.
because like around December is also exam season. So it's like, oh, sorry guys, like I've got to study.
You have your exams that come up. Like everything happens around the holiday season. It's just like this
Mhm.
sucks.
I wish there were like, and it's not even really just that, it's just the willingness to commit. It's like, I know that it is a hobby, but you also, to an extent, have reasonable expectations of committing to your hobby.
Mhm.
It's like, if I say I'm going to show up for this, I'm going to do everything that I can to show up for it.
Yeah.
Like with this podcast, it's like, hey, you want to do it? It's like 3 o'clock. Boom, I'll be there. I even got here a little early just to make sure.
Wait, 3 o'clock. That
So
means you're on the other side of the coast.
I am. I'm an East Coast girly.
Nice. I was
So
born
much.
on that
Too many,
side of the coast.
too
I was
many
born in North
hurricanes here.
Carolina.
That's where I'm at. That's North Carolina. Hello.
Hello.
And that is
What
nowhere
Greetings.
near the biggest time difference I've actually had to coordinate with a guest.
No, it's not. Well, we
Ryan from the Encounter Table
yeah.
podcast, he lives in Beijing. That's a
Oh,
that's a 15-hour difference.
yes, it
That one
is.
was a troublesome one to coordinate.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He stayed up a little later than usual. We got up much earlier than we usually would.
No, we started that at like 7 o'clock our time, so 10 o'clock y'all's time.
Hmm.
Which
That's rough.
at that time I had to set multiple alarms because I wasn't waking up until 10 or 11 our time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm surprised we actually got that together.
I'm glad we did. He gave a
Making
lot of
time.
insight.
Yeah.
That yeah, we made the time, and I think that's a big thing with it is if you have the motivation, like, hey, I want to do this, you will somehow find the time.
Exactly.
And that's something that you can tell with people if they're constantly making excuses, they don't really want to be part of it. It's one of the things I'm trying to explain to my friend because we have this person that they're learning and they're a part of the game,
Hmm.
but on the weekends they go and visit I think their family or something
Hmm.
down in a town like 3-4 hours away, and they do that every weekend.
They make
Well, we
time.
play on the weekend, so they were
Mhm.
in it for one game, and like the past 3 games they haven't been a part of. And so it's one
They
of those things
missed
of,
out.
okay, do we really want to keep them here because they're not showing up, they're not
Mhm.
committing time for this.
Exactly. And again, it's one of those things, it's like it's okay to make it casual. There's nothing wrong with casual. But I think even in terms of like a group setting, it does take some level of coordination, accountability, and being able to commit to it for sure.
It's
Uh,
one of the things that I think it breaks games is the fact that lack of communication.
Communication, or rather the lack of communication, is the death of a lot of things.
Relationships.
Yes.
Kind of surprised my Starfinder tiny group is of, well, 2 people is actually going on as long as it is.
Oh, I forgot you were doing Starfinder. How's that going?
That's actually going pretty well. Last session, I kind of had to make something up last minute because I just couldn't really think of anything. I finally did, and now the players kind of want to kill off their characters and play Space Dragons.
Space dragons.
I
Yeah.
could see that.
That sounds
I think that's
exciting.
another aspect that finding time to prep for games, especially if you're running games,
Oh,
I think
yes.
that in itself is so much more difficult than trying to coordinate all the players, because you have to then think, what are your players going to do? Which that means you got to learn your players.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot of things that just, it's hard to do all of that. It's hard to sit there and make a game, especially if you're not very creative.
I definitely think it takes a certain type of person. Like, I love world building. Not much can verify this.
Yes.
I'm a huge world builder, lore crafter, and it's a passion, I think. I think you have to have a bit of a passion for it. And being able, I have management skills and things like that. So part of my job is knowing my team, how they work, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how I can use that to the company's advantage. And I think it takes a lot of people don't realize that you can utilize those skills even with your hobbies. Like you said, with when it comes to like game masters, things like that, being able to learn your players and know and being able to anticipate what they may do and how you can throw them for a loop or how you can really challenge them is such a crucial skill that I think most people don't take advantage of the way that they could. And I think it's not something that you see very often because people are not applying it unless it's like part of their job. Obviously, you're not getting, well, most people are not getting paid for it if it's your hobby, but people like, my dungeon master Crystal, that's what she does for a living. So, that the people pay her to be, a storyteller, for lack of better words. And it's not easy at all. It's very hard work, but I don't know. I find it rewarding,
Mhm.
honestly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've had it because one of the people, they knew me, but they've never played tabletop with me.
Hmm.
So they were wanting to learn, and they did their party, had everybody, play what they wanted to play. And they looked at me, as like, well, you're experienced, you can play anything, right? It's like, yeah, all right, can you play a tank? Yeah, I could play a tank. What he didn't realize is, well, yes, rogues and roguelike characters are my specialty. When it comes to playing MMOs, tanks are my specialty. And so he had me build a tank in D&D 5th edition. Something I didn't know with the barbarian in 5th edition, because this is before I played Baldur's Gate 3. Barbarians add their con mod to their AC. Well, he had me roll my stats, and I rolled 3 18s.
Whoa.
You've seen me do it before, not much. You've seen me roll my stats. The other stats were like 14 and lower, but the fact that I had a barbarian with an 18 strength, 18 dex, and an 18 con, I not only hit as hard as the fighter that we had, I was also almost impossible to be hit. And
Womp
even
womp.
if he did hit me, I still had the HP for it because I rolled good on my hit points as well.
Hmm.
And so he found out really fast that he didn't like me. He
Dang
started
it.
trying to build things in the game to kill me because that's how much he hated me. I was using knives as a barbarian because I was supposed to be, tank. I'm not trying to outshine the I'm not trying to outshine the rest of the party. The issue is my dice didn't let that happen.
Right.
And so the race I was the Triton, which got a bonus to its strength and con. So I'm sitting there with, 18, 19 AC, and he's just not able to deal with me. And I think part of that is the fact that he didn't realize how good I am at being versatile. And I think that can make or break certain parties as well.
Hmm.
Because if you have a player that nobody likes, nobody wants to play with them.
Hmm.
And they won't make it a priority to find time to play with them, will they?
Nope.
Nope.
Not much. You've played with a DM that they were hated by most of the people we play with because they had a knack for killing characters.
Yeah, I was almost a casualty of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things of because they had switched locations to the main location that we all played. We ended up losing people that didn't have the time to show up because they saw that he was running a game and didn't feel like losing their characters.
Mm-hmm.
So
It only takes one person.
Mhm.
So if somebody is kind of a, well, for lack of a better word, real shitty player or just sadistic or something, you're going to be more inclined to not find time to play with that person.
And it's not just that; it's I have a feeling it's hard to find time to play with people you don't enjoy playing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a shitty player. Players who have characters that let's look at, say, like a paladin. Paladins are lawful good, but if they are playing the lawful good as a snotty, uprighteous, pompous prick, nobody wants to play with that. At least nobody I know.
Yeah.
But if that's how they play, it depends on how they play their characters as well. I have a couple of characters that people don't care for playing with because of how I play them. But I also have people that love playing with some of those characters because of how I play them. One of the
Mm-hmm.
best examples is Toto.
Uh,
Paranoid Tengu with a god complex.
perennial channel character.
I don't know how he has survived as long as he has. He is a joke, but this joke has turned into a thing. A lot of people hate him. A lot of people love him. There's a player who they want to try and kill him because that's how much they dislike him. And then other GMs are just like, how is he alive? This is hilarious. So I just can't roll stealth for any of my baddies because he's in the party. How do we get around this? And so they have to think on their feet, which is fine. But it's just one of those things because he takes a lot of energy out of me to play because I have to be kind of that sporadic, scatterbrained
Not the
god
typical.
complex. Yeah.
You have to act, and that can be exhausting.
Yeah. Which, I love playing Toto because he's a paranoid bird with a god complex. I don't play the god complex. He just brags about the fact that he can look at people and they will explode. So don't tempt him to look at you.
I was gonna say, aren't you like naturally scatterbrained?
I have to up it by like an 11.
Ah, you have the spinal tap treatment.
Mm-hmm. But it's one of those that it's hard to find the energy to play certain characters.
And that can make it hard to find the commitment
Mm-hmm.
to want to do that on a regular basis.
I love playing Toto, but Toto takes too much energy. And
You
as
like
of
playing
late,
Toto, but Toto
I
don't
don't
like
play him
giving you.
much.
Yep.
How do you find the time to game? Not much?
Well, I am in the very unique situation of being technically self-employed, but the
Oh.
kind of work I'm in, I have a bricklink store, is highly volatile, very seasonal, and really dependent on the economy. So I ain't doing shit for business right now, so I have nothing but time.
Oof. I think the one upside to me being a caregiver is the fact that I'm a live-in caregiver.
Okay.
And so I have time to game, but I try not to game when I'm technically taking care. It's why I set Saturday and Sunday aside for my gaming.
Not much. When is your busiest time that you see that you've noticed?
Busier, end
Mm-hmm.
of the month, / beginning of a new month, because that's when usually people find out they have money left over. Coming up when people get a lot of tax refunds, and like right after Christmas when people get like gift money and stuff.
I just want someone to give me a giant Lego Star Wars X-Wing for Valentine's Day. That would make my life complete. Like,
I got
Mr.
one of the
Mr.
Lego things I wanted for my birthday. I wanted the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Oh, yes, that would
So
be
my
fabulous.
roommate for my birthday, because there's a Lego store in town, we went and he grabbed the Lego DeLorean, and I had to babysit my late brother, and that night I had built the entirety of the Back to the Future DeLorean. I built it in like 4 hours.
That was me. My mom got me my first Lego set for Christmas 2 years ago. It was a Lego Orchid, and I don't know what came over me. I just forgot reality. I sat at my kitchen table in my apartment and I just started building, and I was done in like 2 hours. I was so hyper focused on it. Nothing else mattered. I just needed to build this.
I think my
And
record is for Christmas when I was young. I was given the Connects roller coaster, the one that was like 4 or 5 feet tall.
yes,
I built that in like 6 hours.
that's impressive.
Yeah, but if
I
you can,
still have most of my Connects.
but if you can find time to build that, I'm pretty sure you can find time to play games.
Listen, don't
Yeah.
judge me, okay? I like to build things. I miss my calling as an engineer.
Yeah, I like to build things too, but that's not what this episode is about.
I was thinking, just like, for this episode, it's supposed to be us finding time. We sure are going on a tangent.
Yeah, and I've been trying to steer you back to the topic.
I'm trying.
Well,
You know,
that's most of my job on on when I'm on the mic.
Sadly, but true.
Yeah.
I think honestly that the reality is that there are so many little factors that go into making time for gaming. Whether it's the type of people that you want to play with or obligations that you have, your job, even your health. There are some people that are so unwell that their victory is getting out of bed and standing there for 5 minutes and then going back to bed.
And
So, I mean,
motivation.
exactly.
That's
So,
with one of my clients. That's one of their issues. Is just getting out of bed is a hassle,
yeah,
but they're getting better about it, which I'm happy with. They are trying to get better. And that's all you can ask for some people that have issues like that.
exactly. Some people will make excuses, but there are plenty of people that do have legitimate reasons as to why they can't make time for a game. Like for me, it was literally crippling anxiety. Like bosses that I used to be able to beat. No, I'm playing Banjo Tooie, and this game it's very simple. It's very straightforward. I played this as a kid. I spent countless hours on it in my early childhood. And the fact that I had put off beating this stupid giant green man that I know I've beaten before purely because of my own anxiety. I was like, I'm literally like neglecting my Switch because I don't want to fight this man or this boss in Zelda. I'm playing Ocarina of Time. I've never played Ocarina of Time before.
You've
My
never
goal,
played Ocarina?
never. I never, even when I had an N64, I never bought this because my parents bought me the games and I was stupid. I didn't know that I could ask for the games that I wanted. So I've never, my brother had all the games, but I did not. And I grew up watching him play, but I had never played. And so like one of the things that I've been doing is going through and playing Ocarina of Time. And I notice that I will put off playing something if I get anxious when it comes to like a boss fight. I will watch a bazillion playthroughs and I'll still struggle to like sit down and do it. And it's so funny because the reason I was able to do it last night is because I was listening to music. And I was like, let me just put my music, let me put some AirPods in, let me just beat this stupid band so I can move on to the next level, next world. And I did. And so, but I that just kind of boils down to it. Sometimes it's not just the fact that I'm making time for my own mental health because that in of itself took a bit of energy out of me. But then I also reinvigorated myself by being able, it's like a reward, like, okay, yeah, great. Now I get to move on to the next world. And it's just, I find it fascinating to me as an adult, having played this game from start to finish with no problems, but ignoring and neglecting and like setting my Switch aside because I don't want to fight this boss was like a real problem to overcome. So I'm honestly like really proud of myself for that little victory because it's a disorder. It impacts every aspect of my life, even something as simple as beating this stupid green man. I don't even remember his name. It's like Grungo or something like that. But it's interesting to see how people with like disabilities or things like that, health issues, what they're doing, how they're making time, even if it's just a little bit at a time to get back into that for their own physical health, mental health. Some people with hand injuries will play video games because it stretches the muscles in their thumbs and things like that. And again, I think that also just kind of ties back into with making the time to commit and, holding yourself accountable. Even though it's a hobby, why spend the money on this thing if you're not going to use it? Hold yourself accountable, make time for it. So it's the health side of it really fascinates me as far as time management goes.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I think that's a good point to end this on, because
well,
not
I
everybody
do.
comes from the same place, and we all find
I,
different ways to set aside or make or find time for gaming.
I do have one more comment
Okay?
because I know this is something that one of my friends does, and I want our listeners to really listen to this part. Don't beat yourself up if you can't find the time or energy to play games with your friends or you don't have time to game. If life gets hectic and busy, get what you need done, but don't forget to take care of yourself as well.
Always be kind to yourself, first and foremost. Live your best life.
Even if all you can do is set aside to play a game on your phone for 5-10 minutes while you're on the toilet or something, that in itself can help you.
Excellent point. So, I'd like to ask our listeners, how do you find time for gaming? Or,
Other than the toilet, because everybody has time to play games on the toilet nowadays.
yeah, go ahead and tell us, gamersperience at gmail.com, GAMERSPERIENCE at gmail.com, as in Google's mail service. We also have an X account at Gamersperience. Our DMs are open there. We also have a YouTube channel, Gamersperience Podcast. Even have a Patreon, patreon.com/slash
We have Patreon.
Gamersperience. I sometimes forget that last one, but Discord, Gamersperience.
Still need to fix my Discord.
Yeah, every single quote unquote video and our pin, X post has a invite link that should not ever expire. And with that, I'd like to thank. I already forgot.
Sun something.
Yeah, sorry.
I remembered it said sun.
Yeah,
Sunseeker 44.
yeah. Sunseeker44. Thank you for joining us, telling us how you find time to play, even with your issues.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, like to have you on again. And
Call me anytime.
with that, I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm Chaos Assassin.
This is Gamer Experience. As always, we invite you to go have your own gamer experience.